Okay, so good morning. We will start the discussion today. And so remember, there may be some lag because of network issues. So my voice may not sync with the cursor movement. Okay, so you have to bear with that. So can you see the screen? The notes that are showed on the screen. Okay. So we were discussing about regenerative cycle. And the main component, I mean, apart from the other components that are present in normal steam turbine cycles, the additional main component is the feed water heater. Okay, and there are two types of feed water heater that we have means we have not yet discussed, but we have discussed that there are two types. One is known as the open feed water heater or direct contact feed water heater. There is direct mixing of the hot steam and the uh, liquid water coming from the pump which comes from the condenser. Okay, and then there is the other type which is known as closed feed water heater. In closed feed water heater there is no direct contact, it is like a shell and tube heat exchanger. The water flows through the tubes and the steam passes through the shell outside the tubes, and there is heat exchange through the tube walls. Okay, and as a result there is no direct mixing, and the steam and the water can live at different states because there is no mixing. Okay. And again there are two designs with these closed types of feed water heaters. So we will see those we have not yet seen. Drains cascaded backwards and drains pump forward. Okay. So before this, in the previous classes, we had seen, like I had shown normal regenerative cycle. So in that case, whatever feed water heater I have shown was the open or direct contact type. We have also solved a problem, and that is also regarding open or direct contact type. At that time, I did not mention to avoid confusion that this is an open type of feed water heater. But if you look back after going through today's class, you will see that we have already discussed the open or direct contact type. Okay. So I will again revisit this direct contact type feed water heater, open type of feed water heater, which we have discussed in the previous class, and then continue from there. Okay. So in the open feed water heater, so today also I have the slides to show the component diagram. So let me go through them first. Okay. So these are just taken from the book itself. Okay, that's why the diagram quality is not good. Just copy pasted from the book by uh, El Wakil. So you can see that. So if we start considering the cycle from the turbine inlet, so the steam enters the turbine inlet at very high pressure and temperature that we know. Okay, say the state is 1. Then instead of expanding the entire steam through the turbine up to state 4, which is the say low pressure and temperature state, the steam gets expanded, but at a certain location, like there are multiple stages in the turbine. So after a few stages, the steam is at intermediate pressure and temperature. So a part of the steam, say around 10 to 15%, that has to be calculated from energy balance. What is the exact amount? So some amount of steam is taken out and taken to a to this mixing chamber, which we call as the open feed water heater. Okay. Excuse me for a second. You can see the slides, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then rest of this steam, say around 90%, passes through the other stages and gets expanded and goes towards lower pressure and temperature. So after a few more stages, Again, some of the steam is taken out and taken to a mixing chamber, which is another feed water heater. Okay. Again, rest of the steam just goes on expanding, and whatever steam is left finally, which is the major portion of the steam, say around 70 to 80%, is taken out at low pressure and temperature after the final stage in the turbine. Okay. So this is passed to a condenser. Now after condensation, at state 5 we have liquid water at low pressure. Okay, after condensation we have liquid water at low pressure. However, the pressure in this mixing chamber in the open feed water heater, okay, mixing chamber means the open feed water heater, is higher as we had taken the steam at a higher pressure. Okay, so the pressure here is higher. So to mix them properly, so that there is no backflow of the steam through the pipe, this condensed water, okay, which is known as condensate or feed water, is pumped to a pressure which is equal to the pressure that was present at state 3. Okay, so if the pressure here was a certain value, the pump increases the pressure of the feed water to the same value. So both these streams, so this is steam, this is liquid water, enters the mixing chamber at the same pressure and they mix together. This is vapor steam, this is liquid water. Okay, so the vapor gets condensed and increases the temperature of this liquid water to the saturation temperature. In many cases, it is up to the saturation temperature. It may not be exactly saturation temperature. It may be slightly cooled also. But let us consider that it takes the water to the saturation temperature. Okay. And the steam gets condensed to its saturation temperature. It does not decrease in temperature, but it gets converted from vapor to liquid. Now this entire mixture, which may be around 90% of this total volume, is in liquid water state. Okay. And we had taken out some steam from the higher pressure and temperature. Okay, at higher pressure. So now this steam enters the second feed water heater at high pressure. But this water is at lower pressure, relatively lower pressure. So again, this needs to be pumped to high pressure, otherwise this steam will flow back through the pipe. Okay. So this water needs to be pumped at high pressure so that the pressure matches with the steam pressure. So they enter this steam and this liquid water enters the second feed water heater at the same pressure and mix together, similar to the previous case, and ultimately the steam gets condensed to liquid water. So the final water, which is now at a relatively high temperature and at some intermediate pressure, is pumped back to the boiler pressure. Okay, so this is the boiler, so boiler pressure, so that there is no backflow. So boiler pressure is equal to pressure at P1, okay, high pressure. So it is pumped to the high pressure and then it circulates back to the turbine after heat addition in the boiler. So because of heat addition in the steam generators internally, like because of the heat transfer from the steam to the water, the temperature at which the water enters the steam generator is quite high. So the amount of heat addition is less in the steam generator. So efficiency increases. Okay. So this type of system is known as regenerative cycle with open feed water heater. Why open? Because there is direct mixing between the water and the steam. Okay. Any questions on this? So there can be more than 2 stages. Here the diagram shows 2 stages, but there can be 4 or 5 stages also. Okay. So small stages, and by this point you know what should be the approximate pressure at which each of these like steam is extracted for each of the feed water heater. Okay. So we divide the entire temperature range into equal divisions, and for each temperature corresponding saturation pressure is the pressure of the feed water heater that we have seen from the optimization study. So this is the open type of feed water heater. Okay. If we see the TS diagram, so here I have shown a cycle with 3 feed water heaters. So again the steam goes from the turbine, expands in the turbine up to state 2. So there a small amount equal to Y3 is taken out Then the rest of the steam expands to state 3. Then a small amount equal to Y2 is taken out. Then the rest of the steam expands to state 4. Then a small amount equal to Y1 is taken out. Then the rest of the steam expands to state 5, where this steam, which is now equal to amount 1 minus Y1 plus Y2 plus Y3 in bracket. Okay. This goes to the condenser, gets condensed into liquid water. Now this entire liquid water is pumped to the pressure of this equal to P4. Okay. So P7 is equal to P4. So they mix together. So the water goes from 7 to 8 and the steam comes from state 4 to 8. Okay. So the entire latent heat is released by the steam and that increases the temperature of the water from 7 to 8. So after they mix together, they are at state 8. Okay. So this is pumped to state 9. So at state 9, the pressure is equal to P3. P9 is equal to P3. Again, they mix together. So the water at 9 mixes with steam at 3. And ultimately, the mixture comes to state 10. Okay. You can just do an energy balance using mixing enthalpy. So then from state 10 it is pumped to state 11, which has a pressure equal to P2. Okay. So this 10 and sorry 11 and the state 2 steam mixed together to go to state 12, which is now pumped to state 13, which has a pressure equal to the boiler pressure P1. So this is passed to the boiler. So by using this feed water heater, we have increased the inlet temperature to the boiler to temperature T13 instead of T7. Okay. Or we have increased significantly the temperature. So what it means is that we have removed the heat addition at low temperature. So mean temperature of heat addition has increased. So the efficiency of the system has increased. Although the net work output from the cycle has decreased. Okay. Although the net work output from the cycle has decreased because you are extracting some steam from the turbine. So less steam is available for work in the turbine. Okay. But this is offset by the decrease in heat required in the boiler. So the net effect is that the efficiency is increased. Okay. So you should try to, as I have told in the previous class, you should try to find out Y1, Y2, Y3 in terms of enthalpy values at all the steps. Okay, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, H7, H8, H9, H10, H11, 12 and 13. Okay, from energy balance. And then you should be able to solve any of the problems. So for each feed water heater, there is one energy balance. For example, for this first feed water heater, the energy balance is 1 minus Y1 plus Y2 plus Y3 into H7 plus Y1 into H4 is equal to 1 minus Y2 minus Y3 into H8. Okay, so one equation for this feed water heater. There will be one equation for the second one equation for the third one. So three equations and three unknowns, Y1, Y2, Y3. If you solve them, you will get the value of Y1, Y2 and Y3. Okay. Any questions up to this point? So open feed water heater should be very clear to you. It's a very simple device. There is nothing much, and once you can draw the TS diagram, you should be able to solve any of the problems. Okay. So here what we can see is that since let me go back to the component diagram. See, what is the mass fraction of fluid passing through the condenser? Because we extract very small amount of steam for the feed water heater, most of the mass is still remaining and goes to the condenser. Okay. So this pump actually pumps a large mass of water. Second pump also pumps a large mass of water because the water volume here is equal to the or mass equal to the previous mass plus the additional mass that comes in from here. Okay. The third pump also pumps a large mass of water. So each of the pumps is a very large pump in this case. Okay. So this open type of feed water heater needs large pump for each feed water heater. Okay. So there are multiple large pumps and associated difficulties in maintaining and running those pumps, large pumps. Okay. However, the heat transfer is very good because there is direct mixing. We get very good heat transfer, and also in these cases, we will see later towards the end, the air can be the dissolved air which is present can be removed from the feed water heaters. From the feed water heater, the dissolved air can be removed at low pressure, and that is very beneficial because you don't want any dissolved gases in the feed water, liquid water. Okay, because ultimately they will, when it expands in the turbine, this liquid water, sorry, the air that is present actually gets out from its mixed state and gets out as bubbles, and this causes cavitation, and which is destructive for the turbine blades. Okay. So this is the first type of regenerative cycle. For all the regenerative cycles, the basic principles are same, that we use a certain amount of steam extracted from the turbine to increase the temperature of the feed water heater, and we extract this steam at optimum locations. Okay, this principle is still valid for all the types. Okay, but the design is different. Design of the systems are different. Okay. So we will take a look now at the second type, which is the regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backwards. Okay, regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backwards. I will explain what it means. This cascaded backwards. Let us take a look at the component diagram. So I have uploaded these slides also in the Teams portal. Later on you can go through them and compare with the TS diagrams that are present in the notes. Okay. This is slightly more complicated cycle. So again we start from the point 1. Okay. So let me go to full screen mode. Again we start from point 1. Steam is at high temperature and pressure. Now the steam is expanded through a few turbine stages. So after a few turbine stages, now the steam is at intermediate pressure and temperature. So some part, very small amount again, is taken out, like the previous cycle. Okay. This is passed to a heat exchanger, which is the closed feed water heater. Okay. This is passed to a heat exchanger, which is known as the closed feed water heater. This is a shell and tube type heat exchanger. I will come back to this later, but let us consider that this steam is passed through this shell and tube type heat exchanger. So rest of the steam gets expanded, and again a certain amount, small amount, is extracted as state 3, which is at a lower pressure and temperature as compared to state 2, but higher pressure and temperature as compared to state 4. Okay, so some intermediate state. Small amount of steam is taken out and again passed to another shell and tube heat exchanger, which is also called as a closed feed water heater. So again, rest of the steam, which is the major portion of the steam, gets expanded up to state 4, which is the lowest temperature and pressure possible in the turbine. So this low pressure and temperature steam is passed to the condenser at state 4 and is condensed, means the vapor is converted to liquid. Okay, there is no change in pressure. The only change that occurs is that no change in pressure and temperature, only change that occurs is that the vapor gets converted to liquid. Okay, so this liquid water, which is now at a low pressure, is pumped back to the boiler pressure. Okay, now this is the difference here. Okay, so since this liquid water will not mix in any of the chambers, okay, it will just flow through the pipes in the chambers. I will come to the chambers later on, but we will see that there is no mixing in the chambers because the water flows through the tubes and the steam passes through the shell. So the heat transfer occurs through the tube walls. As there is no mixing, there is no requirement of equal pressure in the mixing chambers. Okay, so we don't need equal pressure in the feed water heaters. So directly we can pump the steam to the boiler pressure, okay, to a very high pressure. So we need only one pump in this system. We don't need multiple pumps. Only a single large pump is required to pump the water here to the boiler pressure, to the final pressure P1. Okay, so from P4 to P1, using a single large pump, the pressure is increased. So now this high pressure, low temperature water, it is at high pressure but low temperature, is passed to the first closed feed water heater. Okay. So there are large number of coils within the feed water heater. The steam passes, sorry, the water passes through the coils. Coils means tubes, pipes. Okay. And these are contained in a shell. Okay. These are contained in a shell, and the steam is released in the shell. Okay. So the steam is present within the shell, but outside the tubes, like a shell and tube heat exchanger. So the heat from the steam passes through the tube walls to the water. So the water temperature increases and the steam gets condensed into liquid water. Okay. So water temperature increases and the steam gets condensed into liquid water. So this high temperature water is now passed to the, I will come back to the steam, what happens to the steam later on. But the high temperature water is again passed to the next feed water heater. Okay. It is already at very high pressure, but there is no mixing here. So again it gets some energy from the steam which flows over the tubes through the shell. Okay. And again the temperature of the water increases. So ultimately at state 8 we have high temperature water. So this enters the steam generator. Okay. Already the pressure was raised to the steam generator pressure here itself. Only the temperature rise occurs in the water. Okay. And there is no mixing. Now what happens to the condensed steam for each feed water heater? Okay. So the steam that has been taken to this feed water heater from point 3 gets condensed into liquid state. I will show you the TS diagram, but it gets condensed to the liquid state, and this liquid now is extracted from the feed water heater and it's throttled back. Throttling is a process where you decrease the pressure suddenly. Okay. At an equal enthalpy. So it's an isenthalpic process. So enthalpy remains constant, but the pressure is suddenly decreased. So suddenly you expand the area, okay, or cross-sectional area. So this is known as throttling. So suddenly there is an expansion process, pressure is decreased, and this is actually passed to the, ultimately it is passed back to the condenser, okay. So it gets passed to the condenser and gets mixed in the with the condensate. Yet the diagram does not show exactly how it gets mixed, but you have to imagine that it gets mixed with the condensate, the liquid water that is present. Okay, so the throttle, the function is to decrease the pressure so that it can mix with the condenser pressure, the condenser water. Not the condenser water, the condensate that comes from the turbine, okay, the feed water. Similarly, for the next feed water heater, the steam gets converted to liquid water after heat exchange. So this liquid water, the pressure is decreased by using a throttling process. So there is a sudden jump in the cross sectional or sudden change in the cross sectional area. So as a result, the pressure drops at an equal enthalpy, and this is passed to the previous feed water heater, which was at a lower pressure. Okay, previous feed water heater, which was at a lower pressure. So this is the process. Okay, and again uh, this gets expanded. This entire mixture, this water plus this steam gets expanded and goes to the previous case. So this is because it is passed to the previous stages, okay, from here to here and from here to here. This is known as drains cascaded backwards. Okay, so the drain from the feed water heater, okay, this drain is taken backwards to the backward stage. Okay, so drains are cascaded backwards. We'll see that there is another version where it is taken forward, but in this case it is taken backward. So that's why it is known as drains cascaded backward. Why closed feed water heater? Because there is no direct mixing. So that's why it is known as closed feed water heater. Any questions on this? Open this. Keep this diagram open. Okay. So that I can show you the TS diagram and you can notice the relation between the TS diagram and the component diagram. You guys are still there? I'm not getting any response from anyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this closed feed water heater means regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backward. So this is how the TS diagram looks. Okay, again I will go through the processes one by one, and you can even compare with this diagram. So steam which is at state high pressure and temperature, state 1, like as shown here, is taken to state 2. Okay, the numbers may not match. Okay, my numbers may not match with these numbers because I have drawn my own diagram. I did not look at this diagram when drawing this diagram. Later on, I have taken this from the book. Okay, but the general idea will be same. Okay, although the numbers may not exactly match, I guess the numbers are matching in this case, luckily. Okay, but it might not have matched. But for this case, luckily it is matching. Anyway, so this steam which is at state 1 is taken to state 2 in after a few turbine stages, and a small amount equal to Y2 is taken out from the turbine. The rest of the steam passes to state 3, and another small amount equal to Y1 is taken out. These are fractions, okay, mass fractions. These means percentages or fractions like 14%, 12%, like this. Exact amount has to be calculated from energy balance. So another small fraction is taken out at state 3. The rest of the steam passes to the condenser at state 4. Okay. So the mass of the rest of the steam is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. Okay. So this steam is now now this is condensed to liquid water at state 5. Okay. Remember that some of the steam, some of the liquid water from the next stage feed water heater, okay, which was at state 9, as you can see here. Okay. This was at liquid state 9. Is throttled back to state 10, means the pressure is lowered. Okay. Throttling is a isenthalpic process, means the enthalpy remains constant. So constant enthalpy lines look like this. And because it's a throttling process, it's a highly irreversible process. So we are showing it by dashed lines. Okay. So from 9 to 10, it's an isenthalpic process. H9 is equal to H10. Okay. So we go to a intermediate state. Okay, because there is expansion in throttling, some of the liquid water gets converted to vapor at low pressure. Okay, so at the state 10, this mixture is, it contains a small amount of vapor and rest of it is liquid water. It is mixed with the feed water. Yes, it is mixed with the feed water that was already present, and this mixture actually passes to state 5. So from 4 to 10, the mass flow rate is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. From 10 to 5, what is the mass flow rate? I am expecting an answer. From 10 to 5, what is the mass flow rate? From 4 to 10, mass flow rate is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. From 10 to 5, what is the mass flow rate?
So I think it should be 1.
It is not 1, or is it 1? Others can confirm whether it should be 1 or not. It is 1. Why is it 1? Because the Y2 that was present here.
Y2 is coming from.
Yes. So Y2 is coming from 11 to 12. And then in this section, we have Y1 plus Y2. Okay. So this Y1 plus Y2 comes from 9 to 10. Okay. So 1 minus Y1 minus Y2 plus Y1 plus Y2 gets mixed together, and it is 1 from 10 to 5. Okay. It is the full mass flow rate. Good answer. So from 5, this is pumped to state 6, which is at the final boiler pressure. State 6 is at the final boiler pressure. Okay. So the boiler pressure. So directly it is pumped to state 6 using a single large pump. So from there, this is passed to the first feed water heater and the temperature increases from 6 to 7. Okay. This is a constant pressure line from 6 to up to 1. This is a constant pressure line from 6 to 1. Okay. The temperature increases from 6 to 7 by heat exchange, indirect heat exchange with the steam from 3 to 9. Okay. So what is the energy balance? Can anyone tell me the energy balance for this first feed water heater? What is the energy balance in terms of Y1, Y2, things like that? The feed water goes from 3 to 9. Sorry, the feed water goes from 6 to 7. The steam goes from 3 to 9. So what will be the energy balance in this feed water heater in terms of enthalpy values? Can you tell me? Anyone? Okay, I will explain. Okay. So the energy increase in the feed water is 1 is the mass flow rate, 1 into H7 minus H6. Okay. 1 into H7 minus H6. This is the energy increase in the feed water. Okay. This should be equal to the heat lost, energy lost by the steam that has been extracted. Okay. So the energy lost is Y1 into H3 minus H12, Y1 into H3 minus H12 plus Y1 plus Y2 into H12 minus H9. Okay. Is it clear? Y1 into H3 minus H12 up to this point, then Y1 plus Y2 into H12 minus H9. So this is the total energy lost by the steam that is present in the shell. Okay. So this is equal to the temperature rise or the energy required for temperature rise of the feed water heater. The 0.7 has to be lower than which point for heat exchange to occur? Temperature at 7 has to be lower than which temperature?
So that temperature at 9.
Temperature at 9 in this case, because 9 is equal to 3, but it has to be lower than temperature 3. Okay, because 3 may be outside. So it can go beyond 9 also in certain cases, as we will see in the next case. In this diagram, it has to be lower than 9, means lower than temperature at T3. Okay. So this mixture, sorry, not mixture, this water, which is at 7 and already at high pressure, goes to the next feed water heater. Okay. Passes through the coils in the next feed water heater, and there is heat exchange here. And the temperature increases from T7 to T8. Okay. So what is the energy balance for the second feed water heater? 1 into H8 minus H7, this is the energy required for increasing the temperature here, is equal to Y2 into H2 minus H11. Okay. 1 into H8 minus H7 is equal to Y into H12, H2 minus H11. Okay. So the energy lost by the steam is Y2 into H2 minus H11, and this is equal to the energy gained by the water. Okay. So this 0.8 has to be lower than which point? Does it need to be lower than 0.11? Is this diagram wrong? Or can it be higher than 0.11? Temperature at 11. The water, liquid water at state 8, can it be at a higher temperature than temperature T11? Answers?
It should be lower than T2, but
Yes, it should be lower than T2. It may or may not be higher than T11, but it has to be lower than T2, maximum temperature, because there can be heat exchange with this part of the steam, okay, for the final part, because it can act like a counterflow heat exchanger. So the temperature can go beyond T11, but always it has to be lower than T2. Okay. In this case, because T2 is higher than T11, because this is in the superheated state, the T8 point I have drawn as a just to illustrate that it can be higher than T11. So T8 I have drawn higher than T11, but lower than T2. Okay. It has to be lower than T2. It may or may not be higher than T11. So this passes to the boiler. And what happens to this condensed steam? So from 11, the steam which gets condensed, which is now at liquid water, saturated liquid water state, is expanded in the throttle. It's an isenthalpic expansion. So H11 is equal to H12, again shown by the dotted line. Some of the liquid gets converted to vapor because there is a sudden decrease in pressure. It is flashed to vapor, means suddenly gets converted to vapor because of sudden decrease in pressure. So this mixture of liquid and vapor enters the previous feed water, okay, the pipes here. It enters the pipes, not this shell. Okay, it enters the pipes. It is not, diagram is not clear here. At 12, okay. Sorry, I was wrong. It enters the steam, okay, at state 12, and gets mixed with the steam that comes from state 3. So it enters the shell, and the mixture again is expanded to not expanded, sorry, the heat transfer occurs and it gets converted to liquid water, S9. So here we have Y1 plus Y2. This Y1 plus Y2 amount of liquid water again is expanded in the expansion chamber, which is the throttle, and due to sudden expansion the pressure drops, and we have some amount of liquid water plus vapor coming at state 10. Okay, this gets mixed with the steam that is coming through the condenser, and after mixing the total amount gets converted to liquid water. Okay, so the entire amount of liquid water passes to the boiler. So this completes the cycle. So the main advantage of this type of cycle is that no additional pumps are required for each feed water heater as compared to the previous open type of cycle, open feed water cycle, where for each feed water heater we had one large pump. Here only single large pump is required, no other pumps are required. Okay. But the heat transfer is less effective because heat transfer occurs through the shell, through the tube walls. Okay, there is no direct mixing, so heat transfer is slightly less effective in this case. Also, there are large losses associated with the throttling process. Okay. Losses are associated with the throttling process, but otherwise this type of cycle is actually quite good. Means uh, simplistic in design as compared to the next type of cycle that we are going to study, and can be used. Okay, this type of stages can be used in practice because these losses and other things are not very significant as compared to the overall enthalpy. The only point where actually there is massive loss is the condenser, is the last stage. Okay, so why I am saying that there is a massive loss in the last stage? Can anyone explain? There is a large loss in the last stage, okay, as compared to the other stage. So if there is a drain cascaded backward from 11 to 12, it takes part in the heat exchange process and increases the temperature of the fluid from 6 to 7. Okay. Similarly, if there would have been another stage, it would have increased the temperature of the fluid from 7 to 8. Okay. But what does this steam at state 10 do? Does it increase the temperature of any fluid? Or what is the role of this steam? Means the energy, extra energy that is present with this steam, which comes at state 10. What does that extra energy do? It has extra energy, right? It is not a state 5. State 5 is the low energy state, liquid water. But because it is at vapor, it has some extra latent energy. So where does that latent energy go? at state 10. What happens to this latent energy? Answers. You guys should be more responsive. Okay, there is no good discussion in the class. Feel free to give answers. Otherwise, it is just that I am just going through the motions. If there are good discussions, then others also benefit in the class. Those who are not able to follow through a fast pace. What happens to the, compare the two cases. One is 11 to 12 and another is 9 to 10. Okay. What is the contribution of this steam at state 12? The energy, that excess energy as compared to state 9, the fluid has excess energy. Okay. The fluid is at H12, which is higher energy as compared to 9 because it is certain amount of vapor. So it has more latent energy. So where does that latent energy go for the state 12 fluid? Is it used up in any way or is it just wasted? State 12 in energy.
Yes, like it will be transferred to the like, feed water coming from the pump. Like,
Yes, so that energy is transferred from 6 to 7. It also takes part in the heat exchange. So this is useful. What about the last stage? The energy that is there at state 10, that is also excess as compared to 5. What is the use of that energy?
yes, like it will be lost to the surrounding. Like,
It is lost to the condenser fluid, means the water which you are taking from the surrounding or the cooling tower for condensing. So it is not taking part in any increase in temperature. Okay, that energy is lost. Good, that energy is lost to the condenser water. So condenser has certain amount of cooling water flowing through it, right? So that cooling water is brought to the condenser at a certain state, flows through the condenser, takes energy from the steam and goes out at a higher temperature and is again released back to the lake or river from where it is taken, or it is passed to a cooling tower and again circulated back. So basically that energy is lost. So all the energy from 4 to 5 is not used. Okay, it is lost. It is at low temperature, so it cannot be used also for other purpose also. You already it is at 40 degree, 50 degree. You don't have any much use of that energy in real life. Okay, if it was at say 500 degree or 400 degree, we could have used it for other purposes. Like that energy could have been used for running other devices, but we cannot use it. It is a low grade energy, so it is lost. So the last stage, for the last stage, the throttling process is very inefficient. Okay, it is not a good process. So generally, we will see later that when we have regenerative cycles, there is a mixture of different types of stages, but the last stage is never with drains cascaded backward because of this excess energy being lost. Okay, so last stage is never with drains cascaded backward. The other stages can have drains cascaded backward, but the last stage do not have drains cascaded backward because the energy is lost. Energy in the steam is lost. Okay. Any questions up to this point?
yes, so like in
Yes.
this drains cascaded backward system, like will the flow rate be same in each of the pipes or like it will be different?
Which pipes from 6 to 1? The mass flow rate is same. From 6 to 1 means after the pump process, the mass flow rate is same. Okay. But from 2 to 11, obviously, the mass flow rate is very small, equal to Y2. So it is in steam. So it is actually, it comes through a pipe, the steam comes through a pipe, and then it is passed to the shell. Okay. It is blown from the shell, from the top. And then, oh, you are saying that when this added thing is like when this is added to the shell, so it will get added to the shell.
Yes.
Okay, so this is coming at Y2 state. Okay, it goes out at, sorry, it comes at with mass flow rate of Y2. It goes out with mass flow rate of Y2. So this Y2 mass flow rate gets added to the mass flow rate Y1. Okay, so the shell input has Y1 plus Y2. Okay, at different locations, obviously. We are not going into the exact details of the shell. So the shell mass flow rate in the shell is equal to Y1 plus Y2. and it goes out through this pipe. The pipe carries a mass flow rate of Y1 plus Y2. So the mass flow rate in this pipe is different as compared to the previous pipe. So this gets mixed with this mass flow rate of 1 minus Y1 plus Y2. So from the condenser, the pipe carries mass flow rate equal to 1. Means 1 means the actual mass flow rate. So per unit mass flow rate, it is 1. Okay. So, but the pipe diameters means pipe diameter, obviously it will not change here because it is liquid water. The volume does not change much. But in the steam generator, the number of pipes actually is different within the steam generator. We are not showing here. When we study about boilers, I will show there are a large number of pipes because some amount of vaporization occurs. So we have the volume actually increases, and the volume flow rate increases. Mass flow rate remains same, volume flow rate increases, and the vapor and liquid water also flows at different velocities. Okay, so those things which will be discussed later when we study steam generators in more details. But otherwise, you can see the mass flow rate for each of the cases from this diagram. It should be clear. From 1 to 2, mass flow rate is 1. From 2 to 3, mass flow rate is 1 minus Y2. From 3 to 4, mass flow rate is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. Then this is everywhere, it should be clear. Up to point 10, it is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. When we draw like this TS diagram, you have to consider that from 4 to 10, it is 1 minus Y1 minus Y2. You cannot show that in this component diagram, exactly where this transition is occurring. Okay, what is the location of 10? We are just assuming that they mix together. Okay. But in the TS diagram, we can show. And then from, so what is happening is that this state 10 gets mixed directly with the state 4. Okay. So, and the heat is extracted and ultimately it goes to state 5. It is not that after the steam has gone through certain amount of condensation, the state 10 fluid is entering. It's not like that. It is like a mixing chamber. The shell is like the mixing chamber in this case. Pipe has certain amount of fluid which is not getting mixed, but in the shell, the state 10 fluid is mixing with the state 4 fluid directly. And it goes to certain intermediate value which is not shown here, and that gets condensed to state 5. Is it clear?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, it is clear.
So we will go through some definitions now, and then we will come back to this diagram. Okay, we'll go through some definitions, okay, and come back to this diagram. So I will keep the diagram open in this side. And go through some additional things. So there is a term which is known as terminal temperature difference, or TTD. Okay. So what is this term? So the state 7 it cannot be directly defined. Okay, while designing, it has to be defined beforehand so that we can do the energy balance for the heat exchanger. Okay, there is no way to find the state 7. Previously, for the open feed water heater, what were we doing? We were pumping it to the pressure equal to the pressure that was required for the feed water heater, and then this was taken to some state 8, which was exactly the saturated liquid state. Okay, saturated liquid state. But in this case, because there is no mixing, we are not taking it to any saturated liquid state. Okay, it is in the subcooled region. So you cannot say what is the exact condition of state 7. We only know that it has to be at a temperature which is lower than T3, but anything else is not known to us. Okay, and you cannot find it from energy balance, because from energy balance you need to know this 7 T7 to find actually the value of Y1. Okay, so actually T7 should be an input in the energy balance, not an output. So to define this state 7, okay, it is defined in this way. So I have drawn a simple schematic diagram showing the flow path of the steam and the water. Okay, So the steam goes, so say the change occurs linearly. Okay, we'll assume that the change occurs linearly. Actually, there are tubes and it's like a counterflow or cross flow heat exchanger, but we will assume that the change occurs linearly like a counterflow heat exchanger. So the water at state 6, okay, subcooled water at state 6 enters the heat exchanger and its temperature gets increased along the length of the tube to state 7 due to heat exchange. So from 6 it gets expanded, it gets its temperature increased to 7 like this. The steam enters the counterflow heat exchanger at state 3 and loses energy. It goes out at state 9, but the temperature does not decrease. The y-axis is the temperature. Temperature does not decrease because it is only condensation process that releases the energy. Okay, the vapor gets converted to liquid. The temperature does not decrease. So if we define like this, the temperature change in the feed water from 6 to 7 and in the steam in the feed water heater from 3 to 9, the terminal temperature difference is defined as saturation temperature of bleed steam. Bleed steam is the steam that is bled from the turbine, okay, or taken out from the turbine. Because it is taken out from the turbine, it is known as bleed steam, as if steam is bleeding out from the turbine, okay. So saturation temperature of bleed steam, what is the saturation temperature? Equal to T9 or T3 in this case, equal to T9. The saturation temperature, the boiling temperature, okay, condensation temperature. So saturation temperature of bleed steam minus the feed water exit temperature. What is the feed water exit temperature in this case? T7. Okay. So T9 minus T7 or T3 minus T7. This is the TTD. Okay. In this case, terminal temperature difference. This is of the order of 3 to 5 degrees centigrade. Okay. If you want to decrease this, this is a design parameter. It is in our hand to decrease or increase this value. If I take a very large value, say 10 degrees centigrade or 15 degrees centigrade, what will be the difficulty? Difficulty will be that we will be only able to raise the temperature to a very low value. Okay, the state 7 will be only at a very low value. But the advantage will be that you will need much less heat exchange area for the heat exchange to occur because of larger temperature difference. Okay, if you take temperature 7 to be very close to 3, say 1 degree centigrade difference only, then what is the disadvantage? If temperature T7 is very close to temperature T3, what is the disadvantage in the heat exchanger? For the heat exchanger? Answers?
Length will be large.
Length will be large. The surface area of heat exchange will be large because because the temperature difference is very small, you need a very large surface area for the heat exchange to occur. Okay, and it will become very costly. So an optimum value is around 5 degrees centigrade, 3 to 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, so because we know what is the temperature of this saturation temperature of the bleed steam, okay, already beforehand, we can assign a value of terminal temperature difference equal to 3 or 5 degrees centigrade and then find the temperature at 0.7 from this. Okay, so this is defined at TTD. The very important point for this case is that this is the saturation temperature, not the inlet temperature. Okay, this is a very important point, not the inlet temperature of steam, the saturation temperature of steam. Okay, many students make some mistake there. They think that this is the inlet temperature of steam because for state 3 inlet and saturation temperatures are same, but it is not always same. As we will see, for state 2 the inlet temperature is different from the saturation temperature. Okay, so what will be the terminal temperature difference for this upper feed water heater? Can you say what is the terminal temperature difference in terms of temperature values? What is the terminal temperature difference TTD for the upper feed water heater? Definition is open on the left hand side.
T8 minus T11 minus T8.
T11 minus T. No, T11 minus T8. You were correct in the first answer.
Sir,
T11
but
minus
T8 is like marked above
Correct. That is true. But the definition says that saturation temperature of bleach steam minus feed water exit temperature. Okay. So saturation temperature is T11 and feed water exit temperature is T8. Okay. So because saturation temperature is T11, it is T11 minus T8. So what is the implication of that? The terminal temperature difference in this case is negative. So it can go negative also. For the simple case, I said from 3 to 5 degree. But for this type of cases, this T8 is kept below this temperature T2. But it can go negative also. It is up to the designer to decide what will be the actual value of T8. Okay, depending on the exact situation. So terminal temperature difference can be negative also. Okay, and for this case, it is negative because T8 is marked above T11. So it can be negative also, and that is what I will show here. Okay, for the other case. So we have a condenser here. Okay, again I am showing linearly. Okay, so this is the feed water heater. Whatever condenser I have shown. Okay, this was the actually condenser of the feed water heater, not the actual condenser. Condenser of the feed water heater. Okay, so the process from 3 to 9 occurred because steam had entered at state 3 here and had exited as condensed steam at state 9. Okay, so it had entered at state 3 here and had exited at state 9. Okay, like a counter flow heat exchanger. And the feed water had entered at state 6 here and had exited at state 7. Okay, like the counter flow heat exchanger. So this was the counter flow heat exchange process, which was shown here. So this condenser is actually the condenser of the feed water heater, not the actual condenser of the power plant. Okay. Similarly, in this case, because some part of this steam is in superheated condition in the feed water heater, we need a device which is known as desuperheater. Okay, to bring the superheated steam to saturated steam. So some part of it is known as desuperheater, okay, of the feed water heater. Some part of the feed water heater is desuperheater. It brings the steam from superheated steam state to saturated steam. Okay, so the temperature looks like this. It is at state 2, which is higher than 11. Okay, so it flows along the line in a backward direction because it's a counter flow heat exchanger, and it goes to temperature T11. So it goes to the saturation temperature. So from here, because it is already a saturated vapor condition, it is now condensed to saturated liquid at T11 temperature. Okay. So this is the temperature path of the steam in the feed water heater. Steam enters from here, gas temperature gets decreased to saturation temperature, and that temperature remains constant, but the state changes from vapor to liquid. Okay. What is the path of the liquid water? Liquid water enters at state 7 from this feed water heater. It enters at state 7. Okay, and it exchanges heat with the state 11 fluid, and gradually the temperature rises and heat exchange occurs here like this. Because now it can exchange heat with the state 2 fluid, means higher temperature fluid, its temperature can go beyond the saturation temperature, as I have shown here. So its temperature has gone beyond the saturation temperature and is now at a higher temperature as compared to saturation temperature, but still has to be lower than T2. Okay, because otherwise there cannot be any heat exchange. So in this case, the TTD, terminal temperature difference, is negative and is defined by the diagram as shown here. Okay, T11 minus T8. Okay, so it's a negative terminal temperature difference. Is it clear to everyone? These are there in the notes. You can read through it. But this should be clear how the path of the steam and what is the path of the liquid water, because I have drawn it in very elaborate manner. So how the steam comes, gets from superheated state to liquid, to saturated vapor state. From so this 2 to say this is 2 dash is this path. Okay, so from here this is this point, and from here to here is this, from here to here for the steam, and the steam goes out at state 11. Liquid water comes at state 7, and the temperature increases as the water flows linearly through the heat exchanger and it goes out at high temperature T8. Okay, so the heat exchange process is between 2 and 11 and between 7 and 8. Any questions? So I will take a break here for 5 minutes and we will continue this discussion after 5 minutes. So we will continue. Can you still hear me? Am I audible? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So any questions regarding this terminal temperature difference or related things that what we have discussed today? These are already there in the notes. Please go through the notes after the class, before the next class. Okay. So next class also, actually because I have missed Monday's class, I would like to take it on which day will be suitable for you? Again on Friday, or shall we take it on some other day? Friday 11 or some other day? All of you are not returning back to the campus, or all of you returning back to the campus?
No, sir, all of us are returning.
All of you are returning. We will be returning tomorrow, huh? Because tomorrow is the
Sir, some of the people would like attend today itself. Some of them are returning tomorrow. That's why sir attendance is also half. Like many are
that
traveling.
I know, because some students have informed me already, and I also understand that that is the case. So, but after returning back, at least some students should be able to join the class if it is on Friday. So we will be, or let it be at during the afternoon from 4:30 to 5:30 on Friday. I will send an email so that if somebody comes in the morning, there is still a chance you can attend, or otherwise they will just go to the recorded lectures. It does not matter missing one class. Anyway, let us continue. So there is another similar type of extension for the for this feed water heater. Okay, so let me open this here. So what happens is that in certain cases you may want to not stop at this point. Okay, you may want to not stop. I will just keep this open. You may want to not stop at this point 9, but extract more heat from the condensed steam. So steam has already condensed to state 9. Okay, but if we keep on extracting more heat, its temperature will go down. Okay, it will go down even further than the temperature at 9. Okay, similarly, if you do not stop extracting heat at T11, its temperature will go down. Okay, so if that is present, it is known as drain cooling. Okay, it is known as drain cooling. So the entry to the next stage will not start from this point, saturated liquid point, but from some subcooled point. Okay, so this is what I have shown here. It may be slightly difficult to see because the diagram is very cramped up. But what happens is that you go from state 2 to the saturated liquid state, but do not stop there in the feed water heater. You further lower the temperature, further extract heat from the liquid water, so that its temperature goes to some temperature T7. Okay, some temperature T7. This is another diagram that I am showing, some temperature T7. Do not confuse this T7 with this T7. Okay, this is a separate diagram. So from 2 to this 7 it goes. Okay, and from 7 to 8 is the isenthalpic expansion in the throttle. Okay, and this heat exchange rises the temperature of the feed water from 5 to 6. Okay, so this 5 to 6 is analogous to the 6 to 7 here. So it increases the temperature from 5 to 6. So this process, this extra length from the saturated liquid to the lower temperature is known as drain cooling. Okay, if this is present, we call that drain cooling is present. So with this drain cooling, now we can draw the temperature profile again versus length. So the steam enters, in this case it is not entering at superheated state, but in general it may enter at superheated state like what's shown here. Then it gets, the temperature gets decreased to saturated state. In the saturated state, from the saturated vapor to saturated liquid conversion occurs, so the temperature remains constant. along the length, and then once it has fully become water, the temperature again decreases. Okay, so I will again explain once. So in the feed water heater, the steam enters at superheated state. The temperature gets reduced to the saturated vapor state. Once it is a saturated vapor, further heat exchange occurs at constant temperature because there is phase change. So temperature remains constant, but the vapor gets converted to liquid. Once the entire vapor gets converted to liquid, because fully phase change has occurred, now again there is sensible decrease in temperature. So again sensible energy release occurs and the temperature gets decreased. Okay. And what about the water? So the water path is similar to what we have studied previously. Water enters at a certain temperature and the temperature increases linearly in the water to a high temperature. Okay. So this part definition is still there, TTD. TTD is defined in the similar way what we have discussed previously, but we now define an additional parameter which is known as drain cooling. How is it defined? Drain cooling is the temperature difference between the exit temperature of steam from the feed water heater. Although it has become water, the steam that was taken to the feed water heater, what is the exit temperature of steam minus the entry temperature of the liquid water from the condenser, okay, or from the pump after the condenser. Exit temperature of steam minus the entry temperature of steam. So in this case it is T7 minus T5. Okay, this is drain cooling. Why is it required? So this is required. So in physical means in the actual case, this increases the heat transfer because you are extracting more energy. But this drain cooling parameter, this temperature difference, which is again of the order of 3 to 5 degrees centigrade, this helps us in finding what should be the value of this temperature, because otherwise there is no way to know what will be the temperature at the exit of the drain cooler, okay, or at the exit of the feed water heater. We don't know what should be the temperature. We know the inlet temperature of water. So if we know the drain cooling temperature difference, then we will be able to find out what is the exit temperature of water from the feed water heater. So that's why it is required. Any questions? Otherwise, we will again revisit this regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backwards. What we have already studied in the towards the beginning of the class today. This case, let us revisit this again. Okay. I just wanted to define these parameters because these are required. So closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backward. This is the diagram. We have already seen the diagram and we already know what are the processes that are occurring. Okay. So if you want to solve a problem, I will give you a general framework of solving a problem for this case. Instead of solving the entire problem, I will give you the general framework and you should be able to solve any problem here. So again, in a typical feed water means regenerative cycle, okay, what are the known parameters? In a typical Rankine cycle, what are the known parameters that the engineer decides or is known to the engineer? We have discussed in the previous class. What are the parameters which can be fixed based on engineering principles or say known principles? In a Rankine cycle, first just explain in a Rankine cycle what are the parameters which are known or can be decided by the engineer.
Minimum temperatures.
Minimum temperature, which is the condenser temperature. So actually not temperature but pressure. It's the same, minimum temperature, condenser. So it's the saturation pressure corresponding to the temperature. What else? So condenser pressure is known. Condenser pressure and condenser temperature is known. Okay. What else is known? From material aspect, what else is known? Boiling
Maximum.
pressure. Yes, and maximum temperature. Both answers are correct. Boiling pressure is known from safety standards or from design perspective. Maximum temperature is known from the point of view of the turbine blade material. Okay, because the turbine has to sustain this temperature. So state 1 is fixed because pressure and temperature is known here, and state 4 is fixed because the pressure here is known, and we can because this is an isentropic process. In an ideal case, we will be able to equate the entropy. S4 is equal to S1. So we will know the entropy here and pressure here. So from the entropy and pressure, we can find out what is the state. Okay, what is the quality of steam here. What about state 2 and state 3? Can these also be fixed? If it is not given to us, how can we determine what will be the pressure at 2 and 3? It may be given to us, but if it is not given to us, how can we determine what will be the optimum pressure at 2 and 3? We have discussed this couple of times in the previous classes.
So can we divide it into equal parts, like the difference?
Will we divide the difference in pressure into equal parts or the temperature?
Temperature.
We will divide temperature into equal parts, correct? Not the pressure. Okay, that you have to be careful. So the pressure is not equal, means the pressure differences are not equal. Okay, the temperature difference at these points, the saturation temperature differences are equal. So T9 minus T5 is equal to T11 minus T9 is equal to whatever is the temperature. If we call it a T8 dash, T8 dash minus T11. Okay, so these saturation temperature differences can be equal if it is not specified. It may be specified also, means it may not be at optimum condition, but if nothing else is given, we can assume that it is an optimum condition, and T9 minus T5 is equal to T11 minus T9 is equal to boiling temperature minus T11. Okay, so once you know the saturation means the temperatures, you can find the corresponding saturation pressure. So once you know the pressure P2 and P3, will we be able to find the enthalpy at 2 and 3? Once the pressure is known at P2 and P3, how will we find the enthalpy at 2 and 3? How will we find the enthalpy at 1? It is clear to everyone, I guess. Enthalpy at 1. How will we find the enthalpy at 1? From the tables?
No,
Say,
pressure and temperature, like
yes. So say the pressure is 10 MPa and the temperature is 600 degrees centigrade. Pressure is 10 MPa, temperature is 600 degrees centigrade at state 1. So how will you find it? You have to go to the steam tables. Open the steam tables. Pressure, remember 10 MPa, temperature is 600 degree. What is the state here? It is superheated state. So we have to go to the superheated steam tables. Okay. So we'll go to the superheated steam table. First steam table is saturated steam table. So we don't want the saturated steam table. We want to go to the superheated steam table. Already I have explained once, but let me explain again. And you should practice problems like this. Make up your own problems and practice. Superheated vapor table for steam. So this is superheated steam table. What is our pressure? 10 MPa. What is this pressure? 0.01 MPa. Not useful for us. 0.05, 0.1. We have to go much further. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 MPa pressure and temperature 600 degrees centigrade. Okay. So from steam table we know what is the enthalpy, 3621.73 kilojoule per kg. Okay. So we will be able to find out the enthalpy at this point 1. Then how will you find the enthalpy at point 2? How will you find the enthalpy at point 2?
equating entropy and pressure.
Entropy. So we will find the entropy at point 1. Entropy at point 1 is 6.888991. Okay. Kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So, and pressure already is known. You have told how to find the pressure based on optimum temperature by dividing the temperatures equally. So we know the pressure at point 2 and entropy. Say the pressure at point 2 is, I'm just giving some value, is equal to 1 MPa and entropy is already 6.8991. So I have to go back to 1 MPa pressure table and find the entropy 6. What was the entropy? 6.8991. Okay. 1 MPa pressure 6.8991. So between this and between this, okay, between these 2 points. So you have to interpolate between these 2 points to find out the enthalpy. Okay, linear interpolation, you have to use linear interpolation between 6.92 and 6.69 to find out what is the enthalpy and what is the temperature also. You should try this type of problems. Okay. So once we find the state 2, similarly we can also find state 3. Pressure is known and entropy is equal. Okay, we can find state 3. But say the pressure at state 3 is equal to 200 kPa. Okay, so what we will do? Let us go to 200 kPa table. Remember the entropy. What was the entropy? 6.89. Okay, 6.899. So almost 6.9. So 200 kPa table. We will go to 200 kPa table. This is the 200 kPa table, right? So 6.99, there is no entry. Minimum entropy is 7.12. Okay, it means that the superheated entropy starts from 7.12 for 0.2 MPa pressure. So we have to be in the two-phase region. We are not in the superheated condition. 6.9 is in the two-phase region. So we have to go to the saturated table corresponding to the 200 kPa pressure. Okay, saturated table corresponding to 200 kPa pressure. This is the saturated table corresponding to 200 kPa pressure. From the saturated table corresponding to 200 kPa pressure, the values will look very small to you guys. I have a big monitor so I can take a look, but anyway, at 200 kPa, our entropy is 6.899. So what will you find next? We know what is Sg at this point. Sg is saturated vapor entropy 7.12 and SF is 1.52 and SFG difference is 5.5966. So what will be our next step? Once we know what is the entropy at this point and pressure at this point, what will be our next step? What parameter are we going to find next?
And so find quality of the
Quality at 0.3, correct? Quality. From by entropy balance, you will find the quality. Okay. So once you find the quality, good. So using that quality, we can find out what is the enthalpy value at 0.3. Okay. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So H1, H2, H3 we know. Similarly, H4 also you will find out. Okay. Based on pressure and entropy. So what about H5? Do we know H5?
Sir, we know temperature.
We know temperature or even the pressure. Pressure is better because pressure should be in the or temperature, whatever is known. So say it is 200 kPa pressure. So what will be the enthalpy here at 200 kPa pressure?
We'll get from steam tables, like saturated tables.
Saturated tables. So which value here in the saturated table? I will increase the size.
So pressure here.
Pressure table 200 kPa. So which is the what is the value then for the 0.5? Can anyone? 504.47 because it is saturated liquid. Okay, state is saturated liquid, so it is 504.47. So 0.5 also enthalpy we can find out. What about 9 and 11? Can we find the enthalpy at 9 and enthalpy at 11? Answers? We can find, but how do we find? Remember, this was
Sir, energy balance.
no energy balance will give you y1 and y2. Energy balance will not give you 9 and 11. You already need to know 9 and 11 to do the energy balance. What is the pressure at this point?
Yes.
I had told that 1 MPa pressure. Okay. So at 1 MPa pressure, how will you find this H11? This was actually 200 kPa, not this. So 200 kPa and 1 MPa. So at 1 MPa pressure, what is H11? Which table do we need to go to?
Saturated pressure.
Saturated pressure table 1 MPa. Okay, 1000 kilopascal. So this is H11. Okay, 6762.23. This is H11. And at 200 kPa pressure, I wrongly told that condenser pressure. This is the feed water pressure. This is 504.47. Condenser pressure may be very low, say 10 kilopascal. So condenser enthalpy will be 191.75, something like that. Okay. So 9, 11 and 5 are also known to us. The entire point of this discussion is that we know what is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H9 and H11. Okay. We are trying to find out all the enthalpies because once we know all the enthalpy values, we can calculate any parameter. So what is left? H10, H12, H7 and H8. 10, 12, 7 and 8. Only these four are left. Okay. Rest of it we have found. And H6 is left. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. So how will we find H10 and H12?
So like it would be same as H11 and H9.
Correct. Because it's an isenthalpic process. H12 is equal to H11 and H10 equal to H9. Okay, so 10 and 12 are also known. What about H6? We can calculate from the pressure difference. H5 plus specific volume at 5 into P6 minus P5. P6 is the boiler pressure already known to us, the designer. This is 10 MPa and this is 10 kPa. Okay, so already known to us, and we can find that. Okay. And once P6 is found, how will we find the temperature at 7? So there is no direct way to find the temperature at 7. So the TTD will needs to be given or decided by the engineer. Say the TTD is 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, TTD is 5 degrees centigrade. So then in that case, you can find this as T9 minus T7 is equal to 5 degree. Okay, or T7 is equal to T9 minus TTD. Okay. So I have wrote T3 because T3 is equal to T9, but ultimately the definition is T7 is equal to T9 minus TTD. So if TTD is given, terminal temperature difference, you will find T7. Once you find T7, the enthalpy is the corresponding saturated liquid enthalpy at T7. So we ignore that effect of compressed liquid and we just find the enthalpy at this point, just the nearby adjacent saturated liquid point. Okay, because the enthalpy will remain almost constant. Then not much change occurs if the temperature remains same. So saturated liquid enthalpy at T7. Although it is not a saturated condition, it is compressed liquid, means subcooled liquid, but still we consider the saturated liquid to simplify our equation. Similarly for H8, we will know the TTD. Say the TTD in this case is given as -2. Okay, so T8 is equal to T11 minus of -2. So T11 plus 2. Okay, so we will find what is T8 and then we will find what is H8. Okay, so once all the enthalpies, so after this all the enthalpies are known. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All of them are known. Now we can do energy balance in the feed water heater. H2 minus H11 into Y2. H2 minus H11 into Y2. Okay, into Y2 is equal to 1 into H8 minus H7. Okay, 1 into H8 minus H7. So The increase in energy of the feed water is H8 minus H7 multiplied by the mass flow rate, which is 1. And the energy lost by the steam is H2 minus H11 multiplied by the mass flow rate, which is Y2. So H2 minus H11 into Y2 is equal to H8 minus H7 into 1. Is it clear to everyone? Very simple energy balance. Similarly, for the other feed water heater, H3 minus H9 into Y1, H3 minus H9 into Y1 plus H12 minus H9 into Y2. Okay, H3 minus H9 into Y1 plus H12 minus H9 into Y2, because this Y2 comes here, is the total energy that is lost by the steam. This is equal to 1 into H7 minus H6. Okay, so there are two equations, two unknowns. We can find out what is Y1 and Y2 after you solving this equation. All the values of enthalpies are known. Once you find out all this H7, H8, all these values, you can find out the heat added. QB is equal to H1 minus H8. Okay, the heat added is H1 minus H8. The turbine work output is H1 minus H2 plus 1 minus Y2, H2 minus H3 plus 1 minus Y1 minus Y2, H3 minus H4. Okay, so this is the turbine work output. Pump work input is H6 minus H5 into 1. Heat rejected is equal to 1 minus Y1 minus Y2 into H4 minus H5 plus Y1 plus Y2 into H10 minus H5. Okay, considering both these energies. And efficiency is net work output by heat addition in the boiler. It can also be written as work of turbine minus work of pump by heat addition in the boiler. Any questions? You can note down a problem and try to solve it for practice. Okay, I don't have it as a formal assignment. Just for practicing, I am just making up a problem now. But you can try to solve this. Okay, so those of you who have pen and paper with you, just note down some values. Okay, for this diagram, or it will be there in the recorded lecture also. Just for you can later on practice before the exam on now. So I have a regenerative cycle with. Let me open the diagram here. Regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backwards. Okay, and it has two feed water heaters like what is shown in this diagram. Exactly the same diagram. Two feed water heaters. The boiler pressure is 10 megapascal. Boiler pressure is 10 megapascal. Condenser pressure is 10 kilopascal. Okay, boiler pressure is 10 megapascal. Condenser pressure is 10 kilopascal. First feed water heater pressure is 1 megapascal. Second feed water heater pressure is 100 kilopascal. Okay, I will again repeat. Boiler pressure is 10 megapascal. Condenser pressure is 10 kilopascal. First feed water heater pressure is 1 megapascal. Second feed water heater pressure is 100 kilopascal. Okay, so these four pressures are known, and turbine inlet temperature is 600 degrees centigrade. Okay, TTD values for both the feed water heaters is 5 degrees centigrade. TTD values is 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, for both the feed water heaters. Find out the efficiency of the cycle. Okay, this is the problem you can try to practice. Find out the efficiency, and you can try to find out all the other parameters Y1, Y2, but all this will be required for finding the efficiency. Okay, find out the efficiency of the cycle. I will repeat the problem again. You can do it as a practice problem. We have a regenerative cycle with closed feed water heater with drains cascaded backwards. The boiler pressure is 10 MPa. First feed water heater pressure is 1 MPa. Second feed water heater pressure is 100 kPa. Then condenser pressure is 10 kPa. Steam enters the turbine at 600 degrees centigrade. The terminal temperature difference for both the feed water heaters is 5 degrees centigrade. Find out the value of Y1, Y2 and the efficiency. Okay. Practice this. I don't have the answer also, so you just practice it and compare with your friends. Later on, I will give you a proper assignment sheet. This is just for practice. Any questions?
Yes, so like is the drain cooler only used to like increase the heat transfer or like there's some other use?
It is for increasing the heat transfer. It is not always used also. Okay. But in case it is used, it is for heat transfer, but you cannot increase it indefinitely because the temperature has to be larger than the temperature of the at the input. Okay. And the throttling process also becomes slightly difficult because you are starting throttling from liquid water state. But otherwise, one advantage, if there would have been the drain cooler for the last stage, means last stage anyway we don't use cascaded backward, but if the last stage was there for cascaded backward, then drain cooler would have been very useful because we could have extracted lot of energy from here. So the energy, so I will just draw it here. So the drain cooler would have gone like this, and our isenthalpic process would have started from here. Okay, it had gone like this. So this inlet energy would have been much less as compared to this energy. So the energy lost in the condenser would have been much less as compared to what is lost in this case. So for the last stage, drain cooler would have been very useful. Okay, will be very useful. If you have a regenerative cycle where all the stages are with drains cascaded backwards, or at least the low stage is drains cascaded backwards, then drain cooler is very useful. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So still time is left. We will start the next part. Okay, or let me think. I think it is better to stop here because if we just go through part of it, then it will be difficult to discuss. Again, I will have to repeat in the next class. Okay. So we will stop here today's class, and most probably Friday at 4:30 we will have the other class. Okay. Friday at 4:30 we will have the 1 hour class to compensate for Monday's class, and we will continue this discussion there. Okay. Those of you who are unable to join because of travel, don't worry. You can go through the recorded lectures. Okay. So if there are no other questions, we will stop, and at the end of the week I will upload the recorded lectures after Friday. Okay.